Another seconder. Councillor Little, any discussion? Sorry, I missed you there, Councillor Fergus. Any discussion? Put that to the vote then. All those in favour? And that is carried. It's no committee reports. Urgent business. Is there any councillors? Councillor Grafis.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yep, great. Thank you. I move that the matter relating to continuing temporary enhanced outdoor dining on roads be considered under urgent business.
Yep, so I'll
second that.
I think we need a second. Anyway, we'll put it to the vote then. All those in favour? That is carried. Yep, you're not to move your motion, Councillor Grafis.
Great. So I move that the motion that Council directs the Chief Executive Officer to prepare options for the adoption of a permanent model for enhanced outdoor dining in the City of Monash, and that...
Sorry, we've lost
later than May 23. I got a phone call as I was saying that, so I apologise.
No, that's right. I think we're just moving the motion, so you've moved it. Do you have a seconder?
Yep. My apologies.
Yep, Councillors Klasaris. Any discussion, councillors, which I assume is what you now need to launch into, Councillor Grafis, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the reason why I was reading it out is because I don't believe it's on the agenda, but it's been circulated to councillors. And basically what we're doing here is that I'm calling on all councillors tonight to make a decision that will allow council to do the work, to plan for a policy to be created by officers, implemented in the future, consulted with the community, consulted with traders, with patrons, and in the interim have as a bridging program an extension of 12 months of the enhanced outdoor dining spaces that we have in Monash that came out of COVID. And I think that this has been as a result of the concern that has been expressed to me and other councillors and in the community about the decision that has been made to start dismantling these spaces next month and to finish that in July, rather to do that in July after ceasing of trading next month. I don't see any risk on councillors voting in favour of this report. Nothing will change in the sense that those traders that want to continue will continue. Those that do not use or don't want to be a part of a program moving forward, that will be packed up and dismantled. But my strong encouragement to councillors tonight is to give us a chance to do the work properly so that we don't dismantle spaces and then put them back up again either later this year or next year. I think that would be very unreasonable. I think that's poor governance, and I think it's not something that the community would support. So I want to read from an email I received regarding Wines on Poth, which is in Hughesdale, and they've created what they call Bar on Poth, which is their outdoor dining space. And I quote, "I cannot express enough how much Bar of Poth, and in particular the outdoor area, has meant to our family and friends over the last 2 years. There is a real sense of community at this gathering place, and the outdoor area provides not only the space to enable this, but also a wonderful atmosphere that honestly can't be found anywhere else in Hughesdale." Now, this isn't one example. There are other examples in Oakley, in Glen Waverley, and other parts of Monash that we're all aware of. But let's be clear. In July, we are forcing traders to reluctantly dismantle their successful outdoor dining spaces that they're happy to pay for. So I'm calling on any councillors that are either on the fence or are in open discussion about planning for a policy to vote in favour of this tonight, and let's get to work to get a proper policy in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, any further discussion?
Yep.
Councillor Klasaris.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, to date, 8,500 Australians have lost their lives to COVID. Just over 3,400 Victorians have died. as a result of COVID, and on average, we have 3 to 5 deaths a day due to COVID. Couple that with the fact that just in the space of less than a month, we've got 15,000 cases of Victorians presenting with the flu. This is not the time for anyone to relax and think that we're out of the woods yet. It certainly is not business as usual. Not going to be business as usual for a very long time. We have an obligation to ensure that we look after our community, and the state government has given us the instrument to do that. As I said, 15,000 Victorians today have presented with the flu, prompting the government to mandate flu vaccinations for free for everyone. What does that tell us? That tells us that we need these open spaces. We need separation to occur. We need the outdoor dining to continue to minimise human contact and to minimise the spread of not just the flu, but COVID that's still prevalent in the community. When we as a council made a decision late last year to extend the scheme, no sooner did we do that than Victoria was plunged into another lockdown. We come out of the lockdown, we're faced with Omicron, Delta, all sorts of variants that have prevented the successful rollout of this program for many in our city. Now, I accept that some of these outdoor dining platforms don't look great, but it is what it is. We should not be in a hurry to rip them out. I commend Councillor Zagrafos for bringing this report before us today. I understand that this council that I'm a part of made a decision some weeks ago to pull out of the scheme, but in doing that, I think it was a rash decision. We've left ourselves with nowhere to go, and any suggestion that we can ask our traders to pull out what they've invested in, and then for us to do that work to see what it may look like in the future, I think is a backward step trying to go forward. What we should be doing is doing the work. In fact, I'd argue that we perhaps should have done the work like other councils have and come forward with a plan and a model that will work for everyone. So I commend the report and look forward to the support from my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone further? Councillor Little. I'll come to you in a second, Councillor Fergus. Councillor Little.
Okay. My understanding on this issue is that Council will be doing some work to come up with a policy for making outdoor dining, extended outdoor dining, a permanent installation. But to do that, there needs to be standards. There needs to be standards of construction, standards of installation. There has to be safety factors taken into account, and that is going to take a little while. So the issue becomes then, if we were to follow Councillor Zagrafos' amendment, we would allow these temporary structures, many of which are, as Councillor Casares admitted, pretty ad hoc. They are always intended to be temporary. There's tents, there's other structures there which really are not really suitable for certainly it's not suitable for even a semi-permanent civil installation. Do we allow those to continue to be in place while our policies are put together and we make it possible for our traders to go on extended periods of extended outdoor dining? I must admit, I was in very much two minds where I sat on this one, but then I came to the conclusion in the end that the answer was no. Partly because right now we're in the winter period when those outdoor extended areas, with maybe just one or two exceptions, are actually not being used at all. So if we're going to have a period when the temporary, ad hoc and somewhat inadequate installations are removed, now's the time to do it. But then it will be on the basis that at some point we will have a proper procedure and a policy, and we will be able to go back to these traders, and I'm hoping that process is completed before next summer, when we can offer them the chance to do a more permanent installation, but an installation that's based on proper standards, proper safety factors, proper installations. So in the end, I'm sorry, Councillor Stagrafis, but I cannot vote for your amendment because I think at the end of the day, those temporary installations can go at the moment, and I know it says an impost on those traders that have actually done significant work on their installations, but I'm hoping that they can put them somewhere in storage because they may be useful in just a few months' time.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fergus.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I've been in two minds about this as well. I've always been supportive of the development of a permanent system, and it's something I've wanted to do since I've been on council, not even just since the initial periods of the coronavirus pandemic. I am going to support this motion this evening, and I understand as well, having had conversations with yourself, Mayor, and my own intent that if this doesn't pass tonight, there is likely to be another motion at our June meeting seeking council support to establish a permanent system. So if this doesn't pass tonight, I'll support that as well. I'm less concerned about the path to a permanent solution and more concerned now that we get there. I agree with Councillor Classaris insofar as I think we potentially should have got there already. And I think part of the reason why we haven't is councillors haven't known really where to land on this, but also I think officers have been doing an excellent job trying to achieve the highest possible standard for what that might look like. Now, I'm not convinced necessarily that that highest possible standard is what we really need. I think perhaps we need something a little bit more rough and ready, but I think this proposal allows us some time to develop something that is good, that will work, that will be safe, that will be enjoyed. I don't agree with some of the comments which have been made that this is something to be decided simply for the benefit of traders. That's one consideration for sure. For me, this is more about the reclamation of some public space for uses which I think are more conducive to what our community wants and to health and wellbeing and enjoyment than some of the car spaces they occupy. It's not something which is going to work everywhere, but there are certainly many places around the municipality where it may work. And I want to provide officers with as much time as possible to develop these approaches and put some options to us as a council for consideration of a permanent model. So I will be supportive, but as I say, if this version doesn't get up, I will be supporting consideration of a permanent model at next month's council meeting regardless.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone further? Councillor Lake.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to remain consistent with the way that I've viewed this over the last 3 months when Council has considered what we're considering now 3 times. I don't think the approach to take is one to settle these matters on the run and to do it in an ad hoc manner. I see no reason to depart from the strong decisions that Council has made on this twice before in the last 3 months. We acknowledged that there was a reason to change our approach about 12 months ago when we decided to undo a decision that would have seen the temporary arrangements finish after 12 months. And we made the decision to extend them for a further 12 months. And I've got no doubt that was the right decision last year, because what we've seen since then is a lot of the last 12 months affected by COVID and density limits on trade and restrictions in particular on indoor seating in hospitality venues. However, those things, we hope and believe at this point, are things of the past. There aren't restrictions on trade like there was this time last year, and nobody should expect that those restrictions are going to return in the future. Of course, it's possible that they might. And if they do, that's a changed circumstance that I think brings us immediately back to consider arrangements like these being reinstituted. But I don't think anybody right now, sitting around this table or away from it, thinks that that's a likely eventuality. Possible, yes. Likely, no. So I think the approach to take now is straightforward. It's stick to the decision that we've made based on officer advice, on rational grounds. If others want to consider further approaches in the future, I'm happy to look at those. But I want to make it clear that I think there's a lot of complexity in doing that, because every time public space that belongs to the public, that traders across the centre have rights to, and people accessing these trader places, these places of activity, have rights to park in. Every time those spaces are given over to one business for private profit, there is a diminution of community benefit. And that's something that costs something. I suspect that a car park on an annual basis, if we're going to give them up in future, will be costed at around about $40,000 or $50,000 per space if we were to do it properly and work out what the community cost is of giving those spaces up for private profit. They're the things I think we'll need to consider.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone else? No. Put that to the vote then. All those in favour?
I will exercise my right of...
My apologies, Councillor Zagrafis. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And look, thank you to council officers for assisting with the drafting of this notice of motion as well. Look, my question is, why don't we just get it right, do it right? We extend, we consult, because there's been no consultation before making the decision to dismantle. If this report fails tonight, we have to wait 3 months to then have another report that can direct officers to go out and prepare a policy for enhanced outdoor dining. So that's something that I want people to consider. Why not just make a decision right now? And I'm very adamant on that part of our governance rules. Look, but I also respect all councillors' viewpoints. I think that a lot of them are legitimate, but I will say to Councillor Little, don't say sorry to me, say sorry to the traders that are going to be worse off because we've botched the process leading up to where we've landed. So it's not me that you should be considering. You should be considering the traders that maybe you haven't engaged with, maybe you have, but if you had engaged, you'd know exactly what their concerns are. I want to make 3 points. Monash is the only council that is dismantling its outdoor enhanced dining spaces. That's the first one. The second one is that some businesses that currently have enhanced outdoor spaces may not qualify for a policy that we have in place in the future. And that's fine. They understand that. And they'll be discontinued their spaces. The third point is that there is no guarantee post-June 2023, if this council does the right thing in a few minutes and actually extends our current program, starts charging fees, that those spaces will continue post-2023. Everyone understands that. I've spoken to Steve Demopoulos. I've spoken to Daniel Andrews. I've spoken to people that actually are thinking, what on earth is council deciding to start dismantling before preparing a policy? So I think there are councillors that are willing to do the right thing, and I call on you to do it tonight, not later or next month when we're going to be in a different position. Let's do it now and get to work and start the planning, because the state of emergency hasn't ended, COVID hasn't ended, and the flu is just coming. And I suspect that we have what it takes to get the work done and to start the process for the next phase of outdoor dining in Monash. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against?
I'll ask for division, please.
Division. All those in favour? Councillor Zagrafis, Councillor Casares, Councillor De Silva, Councillor Fergus. All those against? Councillor Little, Councillor McCluskey, Councillor Smargie, myself, Councillor Law, Councillor Lake and Councillor Patterson.